Shalom, Kal Halal Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yehoshua, Ba'Hashem Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us this truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word in truth and in sincerity. With Brother Yashawan, and this is the third woe update for the day, the daily third woe update, because we got to keep our eyes on what is or what's not going on, or what the report is, what the rumors of war are. All right, and this is a report, so a daily report. All right, so let's get Joel. It's Joel 3, start at 9. All right, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down. Let all the heathen be weakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. I want to look into this. Let the heathen be weakened. What is that? All right. Let the heathen be weakened. Let's see that. Let the nations be roused. Okay. Let the nations be called to arms. Let the nations stir themselves up. See, the Most High is putting the Spirit on them. He's hardening their hearts. Roused. Okay. Be weakened. Aroused. Stirred into action. What is that? The Most High is hardening their hearts. Okay? Let the nations bestir themselves. Let the nations they shall be awakened. Okay? Let them arise. The nations must get ready. All right? Well, that's what's going on. The Most High is hardening their hearts. Let's look at that. Roused. Be roused. Okay, to rouse oneself, to awake. All right. Let's look at some of these. Arise, arouse, awake, exalted, lifted. Okay. Be jealous. Hate. That's the hardening of their heart. Revenge. Okay. Of stone. Okay. Of stone. Harden. Heart waketh, to harden your mind, to wake you up, to get your mind, to harden your heart is to harden your mind. Okay. All right, that's good enough. Swan. Right? Or. All right, that's good enough on that. So, all right, so here's what's going on. All right. Let's go to Secret Files. Secret Files 333. Let's look in here. All right. So there's this talk of a ceasefire, right? Let's see, Israel unleashes strikes as expectations for truce rise. This was yesterday, not even 24 hours. This is 8 hours ago. Celebrations in Gaza as ceasefire takes hold. What ceasefire? All right, you got conflicting stories. You got, okay, let's see what this is. Let's watch it.
At Aspen Dental.
Because there ain't no ceasefire. All right, we'll find that out right quick here.
Celebrations in Gaza as ceasefire takes hold. Israeli Security Cabinet and Hamas agree to Egyptian-brokered ceasefire to halt 11 days of fighting. A ceasefire came into force in the Gaza Strip in the early hours of Friday morning after Egypt brokered an agreement between Israel and Hamas to halt 11 days of conflict. A statement from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said the Security Cabinet had unanimously accepted the recommendations to accept an Egyptian initiative for an unconditional ceasefire. Palestinian groups Hamas and Islamic Jihad then confirmed the ceasefire in a statement, saying it would come into force at 2 a.m. on Friday, 2300 hours o'clock GMT on Thursday. Thousands of people in Gaza and the Palestinian territories poured onto the streets to celebrate the ceasefire, waving flags and flashing V signs for victory. China will send assistance to help treat the injured and find new accommodation for those left homeless as a result of the Israeli air attacks on Gaza, state media reported, citing Tian Lin, a spokesperson for the China International Development Cooperation Agency. Speaking to thousands of people celebrating the ceasefire in Gaza City, a senior Hamas figure has claimed victory in the conflict with Israel, according to the AFP news agency. U.S. President Joe Biden spoke about the expected ceasefire between Israel and Hamas from the White House on Thursday afternoon.
Expected, okay? So a lot of this is propaganda. Celebrations in Gaza as ceasefire takes hold. It doesn't say it takes hold. I mean, this does, all right? China, Taiwan heading towards a full-scale war. U.S. adding what? Does this say U.S. adding fuel to fire? All right, we're not going to watch that. We're going to go over here. Let me see. Let's go to... what we got here? Is it Deep Journal? All right, this is Deep Journal channel. And what do they say? All right, it says breaking. Israel had to, this is yesterday, not even 24 hours. Israel had to accept ceasefire. U.S. will what? U.S. will completely renew Iron Dome. Wow. See, so, I mean, they're fortifying their defenses. All right. What is this? 16 hours. Israeli jets launch powerful strike. What? Ceasefire is stillborn. What does it mean for the ceasefire to be stillborn? That means that they made an agreement which they're not going to keep. All right. And over here, breaking Chinese jets and warship chases. So that's over. This is that Taiwan, Chinese, and Babylon fight. So it doesn't matter if there's a ceasefire going on over here in what they call the Holy Land. All right, this thing is underway. The third woe is underway. Nobody's turning it back. They might have a symbolic ceasefire for a second. What are they really doing? They're resupplying. All right, they're getting things in place, like the scripture says. Here's what's going on. Okay. Let all the men of war draw near. They're coming up. Let them come up. All right. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Okay? That's what's going on. All right? Their hearts are being hardened. All right? That's what's going on. The ceasefire doesn't mean anything. All right. You know how these devils never keep their peace treaties. Look at what they did to Gad. Okay. Let's watch this. This is 16 hours ago. It says Stillborn. The ceasefire is stillborn. Let's investigate.
Did you know that 1
And
tablespoon...
then we'll keep it short. We'll try. This is just a short update because they're touting some sort of ceasefire that is not even going to take hold. Right? Right here. Slock, it says ceasefire is stillborn. Attack target on airbase. Okay? Look, right here. This is a comment. 15 hours. Ceasefire, take a rest, rebuild, again, start another's war. All yours choice. Okay, see? In times of peace, prepare for war. Look, everybody knows there will never be a two-state solution. Fight on until there is only one state left. Okay? Right here, 1 Thessalonians 5:3. While people were saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. What does the scripture say? All right, that's not the KJV, but it's still saying the same thing. Right here. Peace and safety and then sudden destruction. All right? So, this thing is not going anywhere. Let's listen to some of it here.
Of the Palestinian resistance and fled. Before the ceasefire agreed tonight came into effect, there were very busy hours on both Hamas and Israel sides. Immediately after the ceasefire was announced, Hamas spokesperson, Israel could not stand in front of the Palestinian resistance and fled. He made the explanation. At the same time, Hamas spokesperson Abu Obida, who threatened Israel, warned Israel, "We prepared a serious missile attack from Haifa in the north of Israel to the Ramon airport in the south, and we frozen it due to a ceasefire." He took action when there was only 1 hour left until the ceasefire came into force in Israel. The Israeli Air Force launched a powerful attack on Hamas targets in the Gaza Strip hours before a ceasefire was declared. After the Israeli Air Force attack, sirens rang in the area surrounding the Gaza Strip. It is estimated that Hamas made rocket attacks. However, there is no certain information as to whether these attacks were carried out on previously threatened air bases or elsewhere, or caused any damage. Islamic Jihad also released footage of rocket attacks on Israeli soil this week.
So, I mean, are these strikes going on before or after the alleged ceasefire? Let's find out.
Initial reports said there was a direct hit on a house at the Eskil District Council and one person was slightly injured. The IDF soon launched airstrikes on targets in the Gaza Strip, Khan News reported. Experts also question how long the ceasefire will last. Former U.S. Middle East envoy Dennis Ross said it would be impossible to fire Gaza as long as Hamas is armed with rockets. Let's start examining the details together. If the enemy proves that they stand by the ceasefire and do not attack until 2 o'clock tonight, the missile strike will not take place, Obida added. This comes after a tense calm was broken on Wednesday night with several barrages of rocket and mortar fire against communities in southern Israel, despite ongoing talks of a looming ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Though no rockets were fired between 1 a.m. and 9 a.m., several salvos were launched toward border communities. Rocket and mortar fire continued throughout the day, with some
So basically, there's a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel, but all other little counties and countries in there are fair game. That's no ceasefire.
sirens sounding in Ashkelon, Ashdod, Beersheba, and neighboring communities. Several rockets struck homes in Ashkelon and Ashdod, causing extensive damage. A 26-year-old man was lightly injured from glass shards and other debris after a house was hit. He was taken for medical treatment to Barzillai Medical Center by the Magen David Adom Rescue Service. The spokesperson for the Ashkelon municipality said that there were also reports of 2 more rockets slamming into the southern city. Mayor Tomer Glam asked residents not to come to the scene where the rocket fell, saying that the silence is dangerous, and here we see how in seconds we can see a direct hit inside the city. We are still in a state of war, and care must be taken to adhere to the guidelines.
We are still in a state of war. Ceasefire doesn't mean that the war is over. That means that for a minute, we're going to try some diplomacy. And really, like the comments were saying, they're just reloading. All right? They're waiting for more munitions to come in from these allies.
Hamas also fired an anti-tank missile toward an empty military bus near the community of Zikum. A preliminary investigation found that the bus was on its way to bringing back about 10 paratroopers from a mission and had traveled on non-exposed routes and dropped off the soldiers in the permitted area.
That's reinforcements right there.
After the soldiers got off, the bus advanced a few more meters outside the base, where it was exposed, and was hit by an anti-tank missile. One soldier standing next to the vehicle was lightly wounded by shrapnel upon impact, and was taken to Soroka University Medical Center in Beersheba. There were no other injuries. After the incident, Gaza terrorists intensified mortar fire to the area. It is the 3rd time that a vehicle has been hit by anti-tank fire. Later in the day, the IDF said that it carried out an airstrike against a car in the northern Gaza Strip, claiming that those inside were part of an anti-tank cell belonging to Hamas. The military said it also destroyed a launch pad in Beit Lahia, where a cell launched an anti-tank missile toward the bus. A senior commander in the Gaza division told reporters on Wednesday that anti-tank guide
Slovakia. All right, so as you can see, these skirmishes are going on during the so-called ceasefire.
Guided missiles are a major threat, and that there have been 40 strikes against ATGM cells. Due to the military's focus on those cells, Hamas only has around a dozen launchers left and feels hunted and vulnerable, he said.
So this is what it means. They're still fighting right through the ceasefire. This is what it means. Ceasefire is stillborn. Okay? Meaning, when you have a stillborn child, means the child was born in the it was born dead in the womb. Came out of the womb already dead. Meaning the ceasefire was dead before it even started.
The IDF, meanwhile, continued to strike targets belonging to Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad
during the ceasefire
throughout the day, albeit with much less intensity than in previous days. The targets hit on Thursday included a number of drones.
Thursday. That was yesterday. The targets hit on Thursday. See, I'm wondering when the ceasefire actually started. Right, and they're talking about like Wednesday. This is Thursday, and targets are being hit. So it's clear there was never a ceasefire.
Launchers, 4 tunnels, a military operations room, and 30 Hamas rocket launchers, including multi-barrel ones. According to the IDF, some of the launchers were above ground, and some had been buried in order to make them more difficult for Israel to strike. Some of the rocket launchers were armed and aimed toward Israel, the IDF said, and that a number of operatives were also struck while firing rockets. According to the military, about 430 rocket launchers belonging to the 2 groups were destroyed in recent days, and 20 operatives launching the rockets were killed. Overnight, the Israeli military continued to strike throughout Gaza, including additional targets as part of its campaign to hit Hamas's underground tunnel network. Targets struck included weapons production sites and several launch and underground positions, as well as weapons storage units located inside the residence of the former Justice and Released Prisoners Minister, who previously served as a member of the Hamas Political Bureau. Other residences where the IDF said military infrastructure was placed were also hit. The homes included that of Ashraf al-Jabari, who is in charge of
Salaki. All right. So you can clearly see that, there's no ceasefire. They're carrying out operations, all right? We'll watch a little
training at the terror organization's so-called military wing in Khan Yunis. Mohammed Abu Mustafa, a commander in the Nubba forces of Hamas's East Khan Yunis battalion. Mohammed Bouab, commander of the Hamas East Rafah battalion. And Osama Abu Anza, who serves as head of the surface-to-surface missile unit in the Khan Yunis brigade. A Gaza ceasefire is impossible as long as Hamas is armed with rockets.
There it is. Okay? That's all we need there. All right, let me go back to secret files. Let's take a quick look at this Chinese, these Moab, and China, Taiwan heading towards a full-scale war. Hey, the full-scale war is already in effect. It just depends on how they're going to spin it in the news propaganda, all right? So let's watch this real quick.
China, Taiwan heading towards a full-scale war, U.S. adding fuel to fire. The possibility of a full-scale China-Taiwan war has reached an all-time high, as tensions across the Taiwan Strait have escalated to dangerous levels, according to a Beijing-backed think tank. The China Cross-Strait Academy said its researchers analyzed factors including military power, bilateral trade, public opinion, political events, and backing from the Allies, concluding that China and Taiwan are on the brink of war, SCMP reported. The China Cross-Strait
And that's not China and Taiwan, that's China and Babylon. Babylon is fully backing Taiwan, so don't get it twisted.
Academy is based in Hong Kong and led by Lei Xieying, a committee member of the Communist Party-backed All-China Youth Federation. Lei, who heads the new think tank, said the changing political dynamic across the Taiwan Strait and the U.S.'s closer ties with Taiwan were two destructive factors that could flare up the conflict. If the current trend continues, China's unification of Taiwan by force will only be a matter of time, he said. Earlier, China had expressed serious concerns after the U.S. Navy destroyer sailed through the Taiwan Strait. The United States had sent its Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer Curtis Wilbur through the Taiwan Strait to demonstrate its commitment to free navigation in the region, a move that seriously provoked Beijing. The USS Curtis Wilbur, DDG-54, sailed through the Taiwan Strait on May 18 and hyped it publicly. China is firmly opposed to it, Air Force Senior Colonel Zhang Chunhui, the spokesman for the Chinese Army Eastern Theater Command, said. China has repeatedly stated that the Taiwan issue is the most sensitive in bilateral relations between the U.S. and China. Beijing considers Taiwan a renegade province and routinely protests whenever U.S. warships transit through the region. Despite the lack of formal relations between Taiwan and the United States, Washington has a pact to supply Taiwan with defensive armaments and vowed to defend the democratic government of Taiwan.
There it is.
The U.S. has been strengthening its outreach to Taiwan and reassuring the island of its unwavering support. Last September, the U.S. also sent the highest-level State Department official in decades to visit the island, a move that infuriated Beijing.
All right, so we can clearly see
I'm going to beat him.
that this war has started. It's not going anywhere. One more time on Joel. Let the heathen, let's start here. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down. So the angels and Yahushua are going to get involved later on. All right. Let the heathen be weakened and come up to the valley of Yahushua, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. All right. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. All right? And that's enough right there. We can go ahead and close it out. I hope that the elector edified. This is just a little update. You know, third world update. Ain't no ceasefire. The gathering has began, and nobody can turn it back. All right? The famine of the word is here, like in the previous video. So, hey, stay on your watch. And until the next time, shalom.